Is this thing on? Welcome back to Big Mouth and fancy seeing you here in June. A very welcome, my friends, and especially my enemies. Come in, sit down, no touching. I don't do the touching. I'm very, very confused about the Captain Marvel box office. I am. Disney and the people who count box office take claim that globally Captain Marvel made over $1 billion. Now, giving the people who count these things and Disney the benefit of the doubt, if this film was so successful, how and why was her role in Avengers Endgame reduced? Do you know? Because I don't. There was a massive reaction to her. And I think personally, and I've said it on here before, is I believe that Disney hung her out to dry. That's right, they hung her out to dry. They gave her a script because they were butthurt that A Wrinkle in Time didn't just underachieve, it flopped. This film was full of political agenda. It was. This was going to be Ava DuVernay's big break. Because Ava DuVernay isn't a particularly successful storyteller, writer, or a director. That's the truth. And this was her big break to make it big in Hollywood. Disney had grabbed hold of her, not literally, because she'll be screaming sexual harassment, of course. But the film flopped. The film isn't a particularly good film. It's all right if you're bored on a Tuesday afternoon and you're watching some kind of cables channel. It's that kind of film. And this does worry me about New Gods because she's involved in that. I'm still hoping she quits, and I just don't think this is the right film for her. And, you know, I'm surprised that Warner Brothers brought her in. But anyway, she's there, she's in. That's another fight for another day. And I think the problem with the whole thing started when Brie Larson came out and said, I don't care what white male critics in their 40s think about A Wrinkle in Time. It's not for them. No. But do you think that critics talk about films that are just for them? No. It's their job to review a movie and give their opinions about the positives and negatives. And at the end of the day, we've seen critics be very, very positive about representational movies and films with political agendas. They absolutely love Black Panther. And I thought it was an okay film as well. Not the greatest film ever made, not the greatest MCU film ever made, but it was quite an entertaining film and I enjoyed it. I thought the third act was pretty bad. I thought they undersold the villain in the end. But yeah, I thought Letitia Wright was amazing. I thought the lead was amazing. It was a good film. But you know, people don't look at films and look at the cultural backgrounds of the cast or kind of the colour of the cast. I would hope that people who review movies just look at the content. I know that doesn't really happen anymore. But you can't start accusing white male critics of dumbing down a film and not liking a film because of certain situations. The truth is, she turned around and said this. What she said was racist, sexist, and ageist. You can't just keep on shouting when you can't listen. When you're talking about this situation and you're saying, I don't care what white male critics think about A Wrinkle in Time. It's not for them. So who is it for? Little boys, little girls, people of colour? Because none of them went to see it. Because it was an average, mundane movie. So you're standing there because basically Disney were butthurt that this big movie was going to have so much political commentary in it, and it failed. Because they thought the media and the critics would put it on their backs and say, isn't this amazing? Isn't this beautiful representation? Well, unfortunately, flying the flag of representation won't get you won't get away with a very average film. It's not a bad film. It's just a very average, dull movie. Because Ava DuVernay's specialty isn't films. She's okay at doing TV. She's done something over on Netflix right now. It's right up her alley. It's a political agenda. There's political commentary. And, you know, Netflix are very proud of it. It's a good piece of work. I've seen it. No question about that. But to think that critics were going to give that movie a free pass because it was full of representation was insane. And of course, Disney were butthurt and they wanted Brie Larson to comment on it. So, Wrinkle in Time, she didn't care what white male critics thought about it. So, imagine me, right? I'm an actor and I do a press conference, right? I'm the new Superman and I say, right, I don't care. Right, they're doing a brand new Ghostbusters, right? What if I turn around, which I never would, because it will be a hideous thing to say. I don't care what black male critics in their 40s think of the new Ghostbusters film. It would be despicable. I'd be run out of town. My YouTube channel would be deleted. The Night's Young, it still might be deleted. You see what happens? Racism, sexism, and ageism is bad, any side you do it on. But all of a sudden, I see SJWs thinking it's okay to put down white males in their 40s. That's fine, because as long as they're speaking up for the other minorities, they're good people. No. And there's another thing. This film was kind of the MCU's first female-led movie. How do you expect young girls to look up to Brie Larson and Carol Danvers when you've got her on a stage saying, I don't care what white male critics in their 40s think about A Wrinkle of Time? How are the young kids supposed to react to that? You think they're not going to hear about it? So, and this is what happened. So what happened was white males in their 40s and late 30s took it to task and made multiple videos about this woman. And they weren't just blindless, aimless attacks. This was a momentum began to grow against her. And it was very, very troubling. Now, I don't think for 1 minute Disney or Brie Larson thought for 1 second, because of the power of the MCU and the popularity, that anything could happen. But it did. Because it wasn't just YouTubers like Geeks and Gamers, you know. It wasn't people like even Van Scriber or SC Reviews. It was everyone. Everyone was offended by this. Not just men, women as well. And all of a sudden, as they got us to take a closer look at Brie Larson, we saw someone who seemed to be a bit of a spoilt child, lying about doing all her own stunts and saying she's better than Tom Cruise, a legend of the industry. A legend of the industry. Thank you very much. And these people, because I will say this about Geeks and Gamers and the rest of them, they know what they're doing. And I think the Neurotic channel did a brilliant takedown of another video putting down all those YouTubers. I thought it was a brilliant video because he came back with factual information. He used to have a comic book store. He knows about the comics. He knows they've been rebooted 5 or 6 times. But this issue isn't about the comics. Captain Marvel, as I told you when I watched the screen test, when I saw the test screening, right? I said to you, this is not a rubbish film. It's just a very typical, average, generic MCU film. You leave the film and you forget about it. And I did compare it with Wonder Woman, and I think it's very, very important that because Wonder Woman was the DCEU's first female-led movie. Or I suppose it depends what you think of Suicide Squad. I think that's actually a pretty awesome film. And I kind of enjoyed it. I mean, it is a female-led film because she's one of the leads. So, and I thought they did a great job because whatever you think of that Suicide Squad movie, everyone loves Margot as Harley Quinn. So it's a successful female-led film. But when you do compare Wonder Woman to Captain Marvel falls to the ground really quickly. It's not just that Gal Gadot is amazing, that the way she's written and directed and how sympathetic and heroic and emotionally representational she is in that role. It's a very emotional film, and it's very it's for everyone. They told us it's for everyone. And you know what the special part of this film is? How Wonder Woman is teaming up with these men. And these men have all got these issues. Not necessarily Steve Trevor, but the other men. And she sits there and she listens to their stories and she makes them feel like they matter. I feel like tearing up thinking about it. A female-led movie embracing men as well as women. Having little boys dressing up as Wonder Woman and the director and the star encouraging that. encouraging that. Isn't that beautiful? But what they did with Captain Marvel was embrace hate. And it doesn't matter which way you aim your hate gun, it's still hate. Captain Marvel could have been a beautiful moment for the MCU to say, Captain Marvel is for everyone, like Gal and Patty did with Wonder Woman. But they didn't do that. They decided to be passively aggressive against men, especially white men in their 40s. And where did it get them? You'll tell me over $1 billion globally. As I say, I have no evidence that that's not a true box office. But again, I would ask the MCU, I would ask Kevin Feige, I would ask Disney, if your Captain Marvel film is so successful, why did you reduce her role in Avengers Endgame? She's barely in it, right? We were sold a lemon, right? We were told by Kevin Feige that Captain Marvel is one of the most important characters in Marvel comic books, right? That she's going to be very important for the future of the MCU. And literally, she would end Thanos. She would be the reason for everything in Avengers Endgame. And that just didn't happen. What changed? What changed was obvious. Her comments. And the most important comments were the ones about white male critics. It wasn't what she said. Well, it was what she said. It's the response that came afterwards. You can't promote a film of this type with so much hatred. Why didn't she do all this during Kong Skull Island, trying to get the word Kong out? Why is it such a word? Ignore that. So basically, right, during Kong Skull Island, she did nothing. She said nothing. She towed the line. She did what people normally do. So what happened? What went wrong? It was obvious, isn't it? It's Disney. Disney made her make those comments. They hung her out to dry. It wasn't them being attacked, it was her. You've got to have some sympathy for her if she was just doing as she was told. As I say, they were angry about the failure of A Wrinkle in Time. Apparently it was the fault of white male critics in their 40s. But this is what studios do. Blame everyone else but themselves. A Wrinkle in Time failed, not because of white male critics in their 40s. A Wrinkle in Time failed because it wasn't a very good film. And forcing your lead into a really important film to come out and say this stuff. But it wasn't just what she was saying. It was actually the film. The film is a very, very stern feminist movie. It is. It's blatantly obvious what they're trying to do in this film. And it doesn't make a big impression on people. It's funny how they changed the whole of Rotten Tomatoes, but still, the verified users weren't that impressed by the film. So, again, it's the gift that keeps on giving. And you have to ask the question. If a film makes over $1 billion, surely Captain Marvel should have had a bigger role in Avengers Endgame, not a reduced one.